Hey, what is that Patreon? It's Rich. All right, I had a really interesting idea. I was going to use this as a study tool for myself, and then I was like, I was going to record it for myself, and then I was thinking like, dude, this would be an awesome thing to do for Patreon. So what we're going to do is I went to that script website that I recommended to all of you in another video or another upload, and we're going to look at the script. This is Neil Gaiman, Sandman 24, and we'll hop around and we'll try multiple of these. But we're gonna read the first 3 pages of script, and we're gonna try to, in our minds, picture possibly how we would lay out the story, and then we'll look at what the artist did. This happens to be a Kelley Jones issue, which I had no idea that it would be, and unfortunately, the script is in like a weird thing. I don't know if I can format it differently. Fonts. Well. Let's just try a different font, see what happens. But, it's actually a little easier to read for me. All right, so let's read it. We're going to read the first 3 pages. What we'll do is each page we'll talk about the thought process behind possibly laying it out and what we imagine. And then after we read the first 3 pages, we're going to go see what Kelley Jones did. I think it's going to be really fun, and it'll get your imagination and creative juices going with all this. So, well, hi, Kelley, Malcolm, Todd, Steve, Tom, Karen. Here we are at our 3rd part of Seasons of the Mist. I could see this was a long paragraph that we have to read all of this just to get to this. Just bear with it. I mean, it's Neil Gaiman. He's a little verbose. Here we are at the 3rd part of Seasons of the Mist. We last saw the Sandman. Oh god, this is gonna be hard to read. Watching Lucifer walking away into the mists. So we saw Sandman walking away, or we last saw the Sandman watching Lucifer walking away into the mists, having been given the key to hell. That's pretty insane right there. This episode begins a few hours later. Now, the last issue is pretty low on characters. It was basically just Lucifer and the Sandman with a couple of cameos. This issue has a cast of thousands, well, hundreds, well, lots. This is how it goes with scripts. I'm just going to interject right now. No matter how well you prepare to draw comic book stuff, I swear I've read 3 scripts this morning just to get my feet wet looking at other people's scripts. Every single one of them is completely different, and there's tons of stuff that you just never practiced. The other one was like a hazmat team with ambulances and cops and firefighters, and Coney Island with like the amusement park. I was just like, oh my god, put me out of my misery. Can I just draw like a space girl walking around a forest? Can we do that? But we can't, if we're going to work with other writers. So anyway, well, lots. We've got Odin and Loki and Thor. Very, very cool. I think Dungeons and Dragons immediately, and with Thor, obviously, you kind of think, well, Loki too, possibly. Maybe even Odin. I kind of think of Odin and Loki more as Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and Thor I kind of think of more as like the Jack Kirby sort of thing. Or Quapel. I've done sketches of Odin and Loki, based them on the Norse myths. What is strange about Odin is how much he looks like Lee Van Cleef, so only taller and paler. Interesting. Lee Van Cleef is pretty svelte, if I'm not mistaken. Floppy, wide awake hat, short gray beard, one eye, the missing eye shadowed by the brim of a hat. So, Odin is wearing a floppy hat. I don't picture Odin in a hat at all, but we'll just go with it because it's Neil Gaiman and he's awesome. I'm just kidding. So floppy, wide awake hat, short gray beard, one eye, the missing eye shadowed by the brim of the hat, thin face, scraggly gray hair at the back. He wears a long gray cloak that covers most of him. 2 ghostly wolves pat around his feet. Man, that sounds very cool, actually. 2 spectral ravens hover on each shoulder. Loki is a fire god, eyes wide and huge and slanting up, inhumanly. Oh, I'm just soaking that in. Loki's a fire god, eyes wide and huge and slanting up, inhumanly. Lips crooked and scarred from where they were once sewn together. Dang, that's brutal. Thor is huge and has a tangled red beard, wide, bulging eyes. long red tangled unkempt hair, and a small piece of rock embedded in his forehead. Dude, this guy is a badass. Go Neil. We'll have a Lord. God, I wish there was more of his scripts. I think this was the only one. This is pretty interesting to read, actually. We'll have a Lord of Order, a cardboard box, okay, and a Lord of Chaos, probably a little girl in a clown suit, but I haven't made up my mind yet. I kind of remember him talking about all this weird stuff. We'll have demons led by Azazel. I thought I was going to say Azrael, but it could be a typo. The other script I read had a lot of typos and misspelled words. It was kind of weird. It wasn't him. It was I think Jimmy Palmiotti script. But I didn't read it here, to be clear, so you're not looking around for it. It was something I read before I did the video. So we'll have gods from other pantheons, Egyptian, maybe Japanese. We'll have a small contingent of fairy P. Their interest is in not allowing anyone to take hell, to which they tithe to be reopened. This is all going to make it something of a nightmare, I'm afraid, in terms of how many people there will be running around through this. I think all we will do in this issue is set up the problem. Then we'll mention that on Earth, the dead are coming back. I mean, this sounds really cool. It sounds like a lot of stuff to draw, but it sounds fun to me at this point. Now, for you, if you have different tastes and interests, this might be like where you're like, oh, man, I'm way out of my comfort zone. But again, it's not uncommon to feel that way. I'm not saying that I could do any of this stuff good. I'm just saying that, like, this sounds pretty brutal, but it also sounds kind of fun. So sections discussing next few issues cut here. Bugger. I just spent half a day trying to plan out this issue, and I can't get it to fly. So I'll just start writing and see where it takes me. It's a bit like jumping out of a plane, hoping you'll find a parachute on the way down. Later, well, I've just thrown away 3 pages of a first draft and 2 pages of a second. Let's see how well this version works. This is kind of back in the day. I'm trying to think of what year he probably wrote this. I couldn't guess. This is issue 24 of SANDMAN. So anyway, let's see how this version works. Page 1, panel 1. And again, we're going to read all of page 1, kind of assess what we think could possibly work for it. And then we'll read page 2 and page 3. At the end of reading each page, we'll try to come up with an idea. Then we'll check out Kelley's work. So a long panel down the left-hand side of the page. So now he's describing what kind of panel he wants. Palmiotti did not. He would describe what was in the panel, but did not indicate a placement or even a size of it. So this is helpful, honestly, if you're early into your comic book penciling. This might not be the most horrible approach. Can't guarantee you would get that, though. So, okay, Kelley. Now get whatever reference you think you'll need for this. Look at him, that's nice. It's as if we're in 9th century Norway, or at least the 9th century Norwegian idea of what a great palace would be. So the hall is built of woven rushes, no windows, smoky. Oh, my cat is very excited about this. Yeah, you're on top of the chair, I see you. That's very impressive. Forget all the Kirby-ish SF stuff, science fiction, I'm assuming. This is dirty and primitive and old-fashioned. Almost no metals, just wood and stuff. The floor is mud, strewn with rushes. I'm assuming rushes are maybe like hay or something like that. Again, when he did this story, there's a really, really good chance that he didn't have the internet for this. I'm going to look really quick because I have the book right here. March 1991. I would speculate that he wasn't on Google. So, dang, he had to go to a library. No fighting, guys. They have a favorite spot that they fight over in my office constantly. It's where I just throw, a towel and some shirts, but it's the coolest bed ever. So anyway, so this dude would have to drive to the library probably to get reference for this, unless he had I think they call it a morgue file. Where you've collected tons of reference over a period of time. Or you can fake it. fake it till you make it. But anyway, so Odin sits in his chair. And remember, Odin is the one with the hat and the gray beard and what did he describe him as? Missing eye, shadowed by the hat brim. Okay, so at his feet sit the two huge gray wolves, sprawled one on each side of him. Huge green wolf eyes staring straight at us. Odin sits on a huge wooden chair, sitting, staring at us through his one good eye. He is bareheaded. Bareheaded. So he's not wearing the hat? He is bareheaded. I thought he said he's wearing a hat with the eye covered. Oh, we'll keep reading. He has gray hair. Wait, oh. Hold on. Did I screw up? Odin sits in his chair. Stop fighting! Seriously, you guys are mental. Ay, ay, ay. Odin sits in a chair. Yeah, so he's still talking about Odin. He contradicts himself. He's bareheaded, unless that means something that I don't understand. He has gray hair, thinning, shoulder length, and a short gray beard and mustache. In his left hand, he holds a goblet made of gold, ornamented with jewels. Wouldn't it be ornated? I don't know. With jewels. The room is dark and gloomy and muddy. Odin wears a simple leather jerkin. It goes down to his knees and is drawn in at the waist by a heavy leather belt. His legs are covered by cloth leggings, crisscrossed by leather thongs running all the way up his legs. Check out any good reference on the Vikings. Odin's face is long and thin and drawn. He does not look like a nice man. He looks dangerous, like an aging hired killer. He has one good eye, cruel and nasty. You may want to keep his face fairly shadowy here so that all we can see is one glowing eye. Steve, get as far from the brightly colored Kirby Asgard as you can here. This is Asgard of the Old Norse, a bitter, dangerous place in which all is dull and gray and brown, alleviated occasionally by a flint of gold. That's a nice touch. Odin's right eye is missing. My cats are driving me nuts. I know you can't hear it in my mic because it's a vocal mic for singing, so it only catches my voice. That's right, eye is missing. The eye on the left-hand side of his head as we look at it. Okay, so Odin's right eye is missing, the eye on the left-hand side. Man, so Neil is very, very descriptive. Extremely descriptive. This is one panel's worth of description on page 1. And so we'll keep reading, but that's a lot to soak in. But I would go with the hat covering the eye, and he said bear. Whoa, sorry. I meant to hit this. Yeah, it's interesting. He kind of contradicts. So, all right. So, and Odin's right eye is missing, so the eye on the left hand side of his head as we look at it. Cap. Todd, pick up a lettering style, something nice, and copper plate like your to be continued. So Asgard cap. Okay, so this is the caption. In the high hall of Gladsheim, the lord of the Aesir sits and waits for thought and memory to return to him. Caption. At his feet, two wolves attend to him. Cap. Lacking thought and memory, he could not even name them. That's interesting. The floor of the high hall is mud, scattered with rushes. Caption. He sits and waits. The gallows god, the one-eyed king of Asgard. Page 1, panel 2. Do these panels on the right side of the page, one beneath the next. So you figure we're probably taking up. Well, we'll talk about it at the end. I'll never be able to find it. It's tough to read it this way. Okay, so he sits and waits. The gallows god, the one-eyed king of Asgard. Panel 1. Do these panels on the right side of the page, one beneath the next. Okay, a head and shoulders shot of Odin. He looks straight out at us, which the first shot was a straight-on view, too, if I'm not mistaken, with the wolves. On each side of him, two huge ravens fluttering down towards him. Okay, that's cool. He's looking straight at us. On each side of him, two huge ravens fluttering down towards him. Now Odin's ravens should be done on overlay. What? Oh, okay, so that they're printed in gray. They're transparent. You can see through both of them as they flutter down. Now we could use this magic thing called Photoshop. One toward one shoulder, one towards the other. We can probably see more of Odin's face here. Okay, so maybe the lighting is sort of brightening up a little bit. Caption, there's a fluttering of wings. Caption, the ghost birds return to his shoulder. Page 1, panel 3. Now we move in for a close-up of Odin's face. So we've never really gotten a close-up. We're pulling in on him, but it's not super close. He's off at an angle, looking off to the side. He's smiling a thin and chilly smile. Not friendly, more to do with what he's thinking about than with anything funny. So he has a chilly, thin smile. Possibly we can see a ragged gray transparent raven on his shoulder next to us. So whispering into his ear. He's holding the goblet, caption, and instantly he knows all they've seen. Oh, okay, so the raven is whispering into his ear. That's kind of cool. We're right here if you're trying to read along. Odin is now, so this is the fourth panel. So we've got one long, thin panel and then two panels that sit atop of each other that potentially could be squares. One is a tighter shot of his face with the ravens coming down. The next shot is a slight turn view with him sort of smirking and one of the ravens in the foreground closest to us talking into his ear. So page 1, panel 4, we'll see if he describes where he wants it placed. Obviously it would be underneath these top 3 panels based on how he's described it. Page 1, panel 4. Odin is now in profile, so it's complete side view now. His face facing the right of the panel. So his blind eye is the only one that we can see. He's drinking from the jeweled goblet we saw earlier. Possibly a trickle of wine is dripping into his beard or out of his mouth. I do not believe the Norse were particularly fastidious eaters. Incidentally, Odin doesn't have an eye patch. What he has is a scarred hole in his head. Okay. When I used to be. You may want to check this out medically to find out what an eye scar looks like. When he stands up, he's about 6'5". Okay, but he's not standing up in this shot. This is just another tighter shot of like his face now. This could actually be 3 panels stacked on top of each other, because he's going from a side view to a side view, and it would be weird to have long, thin panel, square panel, then move you down here and have another side view. You could definitely do it though, but let's see. So the mead he drinks is not the mead of Acer. It is his mead brewed by dwarfs from the dead. Kvasir's blood. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. A draught of liquid verse and madness. Man, some crazy stuff. Caption, it is the mead of Odin, the All-Father, and none but Odin may drink of it. Page 1, panel 5. Pull back. Odin has stood up with one hand. He is pulling on an old cloak. Excuse me. Nothing fancy. An old gray cloak that covers his whole body. 2 ravens have faded away completely now, or if you do them, are just the faintest of light gray impressions on overlay. You could draw something the equivalent of them fading away, though, but he has turned away from us. So now he's got his back towards us. He's putting on his cloak. Wait, where did it say? Pulling on his old cloak. Nothing fancy. Old gray cloak of his buddy. Okay, so he has turned away from us. He has put the goblet down on the table. You probably wouldn't need to show that action. And he is holding a large, floppy, wide brim hat. So, okay, so he wasn't wearing the hat in the first scene. I get it. Now he's going to put it on. He's holding a large, floppy, wide brim hat like the Shadows or like a battered old cowboy hat. Only less impressive than either. So he is fading away. Feet first. So from about halfway down, he is almost transparent. Caption, he drains the goblet and he is gone. Page 2, panel 1. I'm going to say let's look at page 1 now, since that was so much information while it's still fresh in our head. So let's try to predict the panel order. We've got the long, thin one on the left. Panels 2 and 3 could be stacked next to it, about the same height as panel 1. And then panels 4 and 5 could be... Wait, is there a 5th panel? Yeah. So panel 4. So it would be side view in panel 3 of him smirking with the raven. Panel 4 is in profile where we see his eye really, really good. And he's drinking from a jeweled goblet. And then the last panel is he gets up. I'm almost thinking that last panel should be a big shot. But we're running out of space. So let's just see how Kelley sort of orchestrates this. Is this it? Oh, sorry, I might have messed up. I might have gone to 2 pages. Yeah. Page 1. All right. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so interesting. This is cool though, because this is like gonna really just, I'm soaking it in. It's pretty cool. Okay, so here's his first shot. Not really dressed how I pictured. It's actually more clear than I was imagining. I really didn't think that we were going to see him. He didn't give him long hair. He didn't give him the beard. It's weird, right? What is going on? We were supposed to see 2 wolves. I only see 1 wolf. I see 2 there, though. Here's the birds fluttering in. The room is super nondescript. I like the chair. The wolves are kind of like, they're just sort of a suggestion. This is nice, though. I like this. I really would have given this way more detail. How about you? What are you thinking? This is cool, right? This is pretty interesting. This is going to be a long video. I'm almost thinking maybe we should just we'll do 1 more page, and then we'll come back to this. Because this will be a good challenge for us. So this is nice. He did say side view here, though, or something. But, I mean, this gets the point across. This is a better shot than what I was picturing. I like it's not like a full-on side view. I swear to God, I thought he said side view here. And this panel being the whole length of the page, I think was a really, really good call. Because mine would have stopped here, and then I would have had all this room here. But this is a cool layout, and this is nice. But again, I thought his back was to us. We don't get any indication of the missing eye here, though, I don't think. I mean, I would have really pulled in tighter. It was sort of like, I kind of felt like this is closer to what I was picturing. He's already got the goblet in his hand, and he didn't show him putting the goblet down. Well, I guess it's just gone. It's interesting. I mean, he did what Neil asked, and then he kind of didn't. I think this is cool. This is a real nice shot. This is good. But yeah, that's really, really interesting. Very, very interesting. He didn't show these things vanishing. It's trippy, right? This is cool. All right, so let's do 1 more page. That was fascinating. All right, so hopefully you're enjoying this. If you are, give me a shout out. No, I'm just kidding. It's for Patreon. You guys never say anything. Rarely. So, okay, so page 2, panel 1. I gotta follow this all the way over here. Oh wait, what does it say? I can't read it. Something, is it? I can't scroll to the, page 1, panel 1. Over the page now, okay. Some panel grid breakdown. He wants a long panel down the left of the page again. So, same idea as the last one. And then 4 equal-sized panels going down on the right. So it looks like it would be divided down the middle. There's going to be 1 long panel to the left and then 4 panels stacked on top of each other. I have to say I kind of like that he does this. I think that for me personally, like I like that a little bit. It would depend. I don't know Neil's writing that well, to be honest. I just know that he's very respected. So black panel gutters, so that could mean complete black behind everything, or it could mean just like if you put panel borders around it that they're like outlined, like see this little like sort of border right here, that it would be like that. This panel is a long shot, but it might just work. Sorry. We're looking at an underground cavern. Our vantage point is probably somewhere near the ceiling, but at the very top of the panel is a huge snake. huge in real terms, tiny in panel terms. Curled around and intertwining into a stalactite. Alright, I want to soak this in one more time. This panel is a long shot. Okay, I get it. He means like a longer shot, like further away. But it might just work. We're looking at an underground cavern. Our vantage point is probably somewhere near the ceiling. So we're looking down on a cavern. Like, probably we're like pinned to the roof looking down. Because at the very top of the panel, meaning the top of the page, there's going to be a huge snake. Huge in real terms, tiny in panel terms. Curled around and intertwining into a stalactite. In the middle of the panel, we can see some kind of underground cliff or rock formation, like a jagged hill. At the bottom of the panel, a naked man is bound to a huge rock slab. He is bound with intestines looped around his neck, his waist, his legs, and his spread-eagled arms. Next to him stands a woman holding a metal bowl in her outstretched arms. The bowl is a few feet above his face. Tiny drops of liquid fall from the snake's mouth. And then remember, this is a small snake that we're seeing here. White against the dark black background. Fall the 100 feet or so into the bowl. The bottom of the panel is a long way from the top of the panel, and these figures are really small. Holy cow. Cap. There is a cavern beneath the world. Caption. This is true. You must know in your bones that this is true, although all of your logic argues against it. Caption. There's a cavern beneath the world, and in that cavern a man is bound. In the cavern there is also a woman and a snake. So there's a decent amount of dialogue, so you want to make room for that and not overdraw, because there's no point in drawing a ton of stuff if you're going to have 3 or 4 word balloons. You want to be thoughtful of it is the point. You can draw as much as you want, but page 2, panel 2. Now remember, this is going to be on the right side of the page at the top. And these are going to be 4 horizontal panels, which Neil also says. See, I'm just like Neil. I over-explain everything. This one shows the snake's head. It's an evil-looking snake, as opposed to the friendly, more welcoming of no known breed on Earth. But something like a pit viper, a big triangular head, mean little snake eyes staring, fangs extended, tongue flickering. Green poison, I guess that's a color note, drips from its mouth, because he wants it white. Maybe you could use that technique Sam Keith does so well of using whiteout to crosshatch the scales. That'd be cool. Kelley could pull that off. Basically, a nightmare snake's head. Any reader who is scared of snakes will get bad dreams for a week. The snake is high in the darkness of the cavern, curled around an elaborate rock formation. Caption. I'm going to just move here. We're right here. The woman is called Stygian. Wait. I think it says the snake has no name. Page 2, panel 3. Now we're looking at the woman. She has lank hair that may have been yellow. She's thin to the point of emaciation, to the point where you can almost see the skull beneath her skin. Okay, so she's going to be creepy. She's like a famine poster, sunken cheeks and matchstick arms. Huge dark circles beneath her eyes. She's holding at arm's length a large metal bowl and is staring intently at it. In the center of the bowl, which is almost full, ripples emanate from the bowl where the serpent's venom is falling. Okay. Caption. The woman holds a bowl above the man's head. Cap. Drip, drip. Caption. The snake's venom drips from its open mouth. It falls into the bowl. Page 2, panel 4. So now we're 3 panels down of these equal ones. Moving for a close-up of the bowl. P. We can see her fingers on each side of it. We can see the reflections of her face in the greenish poison, crisscrossed and distorted in the ripples. That's cool. Kelley will do a nice job on that. Caption. The man is bound with the entrails of his son. Wow. Their son. Oh, God. Dang, the woman is his wife? Dude! We're looking at Stygian, the woman. She's a little way away from us in profile, standing on the edge of a crevice in this underground place. Oh, so wait, hold on. She's a little away from us in profile, standing on the edge of a crevice in this underground place. Perhaps stalagmites rise from the ground. She's tipping the contents of the heavy metal bowl into the pit. The liquid falls and steams as it falls. She looks very exhausted. Caption: the bowl fills gradually. When it's full, the woman empties in the pit. Remember, this is a side view of her, potentially. Side view could mean a lot of things. I would take it literally as a side view, but as we saw, Kelley didn't really handle any of the side views as true side views. In fact, one he did a front view, and like he disregarded the dissolving birds. So page 3. Oh, was that the last panel? Oh, okay. So the fourth panel, which would be 3 down, is the bowl with her fingers on it, and her reflection in it, and then we've got the profile of her pouring it into the pit. All right, this is gonna be fun. Are you excited? Let's see what he drew. Oh my god, it's so simple. So this is the shot. Oh, okay, here's the snake. Wow, okay, interesting. He did make it a big snake. That's actually really, really interesting, because that definitely gives you the implications of a huge snake. That was really, really clever, and this is good. Wow, this is really, really creative. Man, we have the best Patreon channel ever. I'm telling you. Who's doing this for comics? No one. Only us. It's our little secret. But don't make it a secret. Trust me, I could use the patrons. This is great. I love the snake. I'm trying to think. This was supposed to be a close-up of his head. Kelley did more. And this is so Kelley Jones with this like thing. And he didn't really do it Sam Keefe with the hatched scales. But yeah, you get the impression of all the things. No, you didn't put a ton of like venom dripping out. This is very Mignola. Looks like Mark Badgering's. Her catching the venom is fine. And this is a profile. He did ask for that. There's no reflection of her face in the bowl, by the way. I mean, I would think that that's a pretty important thing. And this is great. Although you can't tell she's pouring it into the pit. I mean, I guess you can make that assumption. But he didn't really show it. So what do you think? You want to do one more page? I know you do. Because if you've watched this far, you're like, come on, Rich. One more. So we'll do 3. This is so interesting to me to see these scripts and see how these artists handle this stuff. I think that this is really going to liberate not only me, but y'all's that do this. This is good stuff. All right, so let's see, where are we? Page 3, panel 1. Okay, Kelley, or patrons. Now go to a 4-panel grid, old school. 4 equal rectangular panels. These are tricky to make look dynamic, but Kelley is good. He's got this. Sorry, I lost my. Here we go. The middle lines on the page should be the same as the last page. Wait, what? Page 3 panel. Okay, Kelley. Now go to 4-panel grid page. 4 equal rectangular panels. The middle lines on the page should be the same as the last page, since both page designs are variants on the 8-panel grid. Oh, I get what he's saying. We've got 4, but the 2 would be stacked. It would divide still in the middle of the page, where before the 4th, this will be the dividing line, but instead it'll be, 1, 2, 3, 4 panels right down the middle, but it'll still be this height. Those should be the same size. Not a big deal. Okay, so suddenly the panels are bigger. What? Oh, and we're looking at the man, Loki. Okay, I guess that. I was like, wait, what's going on? There's panels down the page? He just means the panels, literally. He's making it exciting for us reading it. Well, I was surprised too, but you did tell us we were doing it. We're looking at the man, Loki. So remember, his Loki is pretty creepy. He has scars around his mouth where his mouth was tied shut and thin, pointy lips. And what else did he say? I just want to refresh my memory for a second. Sorry, I'll go fast. Loki's a fire god, eyes wide and huge. Oh, yeah, with he has weird, inhumanly slanted eyes, lips crooked and scarred from where they once sewn together. And is that what he says about Loki? Okay, so he'll probably describe the crap out of him here then. Okay. Okay, look. Suddenly panels are bigger and we're looking at the man. Loki is bound to the rock. Okay, so this is Loki. Interesting. With the frozen entrails, which do indeed look like human entrails. He's thrown his head back in pain, trying to avoid the falling poison, which is falling accurately onto his face, basically. So I guess the woman, when she stands over him, she's catching it in the bowl and pouring it in the pit. But other than that, it's basically pouring on his face. He's tied to a rock. His son's entrails. This is gnarly. Okay, aiming for the point at the bridge of his nose, equidistant between the two eyes. We can't see his face properly here, so we're not going to get a clear shot of him, just that this is going on. We can see that his body is naked and in good shape. He's also fairly tall and well proportioned. He's obviously in agony. Caption, whilst she is gone, the snake's venom drips onto the man's face. Caption, he twists and rises, the poison eats into his flesh. So he's describing that it's eating his flesh, almost like an acid. He screams as it enters his eyes. Page 3, panel 2. Again, this will be a top tier panel. Same size as the first one. Okay, move in for a close-up on his face here. It's our first chance to see Loki's face properly. First chance to see his face properly. Will Kelley follow along with this, or will he not? I'm kind of picturing a shot where his face is obscured maybe by his hair and a little bit of shadow. We'll see. Although it's all scrunched up in pain. The poison is dripping onto his face from above, possibly even smoking slightly where it hits. Again, kind of like an acid. He's obviously screaming his lungs out, although we can't hear him. We're close enough to see the regular scars, about a half an inch out from his lips. The holes that were bored into his lips by a dwarf who used an awl and sewed Loki's lips together with leather thongs. His lips are crooked and scarred. He's thin-faced, and his huge slanting eyes are closed. He's screaming with his eyes closed then. I tend to imagine this is sort of a Ted McKeever-ish sort of shot. That dirty acid burn, painful feeling he's so good at getting across. I'll describe Loki more fully later and indeed send you a drawing of him and of Odin the way I see them. I got the kind of impression, though, if you could see how, well, we'll see what he's wearing. I guess it doesn't really matter. When he rises, the earth quakes. Page 3, panel 3. Now we're a few feet above them, looking down at them. Sijin stands next to him. Her bowl is held up. It's empty, and a drop or two of the venom is falling into the empty metal bowl. There is this dark cavern at the bottom of the world in the darkness, and the venom is splashing up. Loki's head is beneath the bowl. We can see he's opened his eyes and is shouting at his wife. He looks mad. He curses the woman, but she stays with him. Caption, the man, the woman, the snake, the bowl. Page 3, panel 4. So this will be the bottom right. Okay, now pull way back. You remember the hill thing I was talking about in the first panel on page 2? Hill? Well, Odin is now standing on there, facing us in his cloak, and his broad brim hat holding a long staff. Small. Far below him, we can see Loki and Sijin and her bowl, these tiny, pitiful figures. Caption, it's not nice or pretty, but it's true, Cap, and it's necessary. It has been going on for a very long time. Okay, so... Alright, let's check this out. This is a lot to wrap our brains around, but, I think we remember what we read. All right, so there he is, tied to the rock with the entrails. This is cool. Great shot of the acid hitting him. um, oh, I kind of remember what he's talking about now, I think. Her catching the thing and him screaming, and then him looking down at the scene. Fascinating. All right, I'm going to end it here because this video is going to be quite long, and I actually need to get to work. Yeah, I thought that this would be another fun series. I mean, we're really doing great things here now. We've got some figure drawing stuff going on. We've got perspective going on, and we're really taking a close look at storytelling. And I can't record videos of everything that I'm working on right now. I'm working on a pretty big book for DC, and I'm not 100% sure I can share the story, or you know what I mean, like the pages. So, but I'm going to be inking Ryan Benjamin next week, so either way I'll have some inks to share. But if you're at the end of this video, you're probably into the storytelling stuff. So, all right, have a great day. I think that was really cool. We won't skip ahead, but we will continue this. We'll go through this. Maybe we'll do the full issue. Why not? And then we'll try to find a superhero book to go through. And we'll see how a superhero book is. All right. Have a great day. I love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.